So I'm just gonna call this bad things happen. Um, like I'm not an anomaly. Like some of you know some of the tragic things that have happened with me, but I one thing I've realized is some people have tried to look at me and my religious or ethical, or they've tried to basically say, oh, because she's not religious, this happened to her. Oh, because I have this assumption about something that she did, that's why this happened to her. And like, I was just reading this article from the New York Times, and it's basically like there's this kid Xavier Lopez who was one of the kids who was killed, and it's trying to like humanize this kid. And like, to me, this doesn't make any sense because like every single life that was lost, any life that's lost is a tragedy, right? Like, especially like children, like all those children's lives who were lost, it's fucking awful. Like, it's awful. But like the family is sitting here like, why him? Why him? It's like you're asking the wrong question. Like, it's not why him. Like, what happened was awful. Okay, and like this is a part of being a part of a country, being a part of a community, being a part of a society. This is why it's important to like ask to to talk about societal level issues. And I think for a very long time, like a lot of people just didn't care about many of them. Like mass shootings are something that people have been talking about for just a while in this country. It's been a thing. Now, some people just didn't care to participate in the conversation. Like, some people don't care to participate in like the politics. Like, some of these are political issues, but I don't think this one specifically is, because I also am more. I'm not on the side of people who believe that some sort of gun restriction would have like helped in this case. Like, if the kid wanted guns, he was gonna get guns. If any person wants guns, they can get guns in this country. That wouldn't have stopped it. I think the only thing that could have helped in this case would have been the motives, or basically why this kid felt like he had nothing to live for, or that he had so much anger that he wanted to take his life. And like, I don't know anything about this kid, but I probably feel like I can actually reiterate to you right now like exactly what was going on, just because I have been watching the not what I've been like interacting with the youth. Like, so for the last year on my Instagram account, what I initially did, it was kind of this social experiment, because I was trying to understand like what the hell the Zoomers were going through, because I didn't understand Gen Z. And I always try to, like, I am just a person who always taps in with youth, because like people find me really useful and they always think I'm hip. And so what I try to do is I always tap in with youth to understand what they're talking about, and then kind of communicate back and forth with them about that. Now, so what I did with this Instagram account, so some of the like Berkeley High students, Oakland Tech students kind of found my account. I befriended some of the students at Oakland Tech. And I just started talking to them about, adulting basically. I started like sharing little snippets of adulting, of my apartment living, kind of some jokes about like, guys I was dating and stuff like that. We had these like inside jokes. And then they would share things back. They were sharing how some of their teachers were doing this like weird liberal shit where they were like trying to give lectures in like public classrooms that were about being trans, and basically like really pushing in kind of toxic ways these like LGBTQIA agendas. And it was just like strange, because it was just like I don't understand why in chemistry class we're talking about LGBTQIA, and a part where it was a lecture, they were like sharing lecture notes, and I was like, yeah, this is really strange. I don't know, the times are so different from when I was in school or whatever. But here's another thing I know just from kind of like observing these communities and understanding like what's going on with the youth. So this kid was like 18 or whatever, and those are like the Gen Z TikToker people with the like Twitch. So they're all on Twitch, and they've got the video games. So like it's like the video games and TikToks are like all the hype for them. And so the really weird part about this though is like with coronavirus, and then also just other things about like social awkwardness, I'll call it that. A lot of these kids don't know how to socialize in the real world, and especially like the weird, like he's like a male who's working at like a fast food restaurant or something, like a McDonald's. Like a lot of those kids, like in the jobs and while they're like out in the world, they seem normal because they're like whatever normal is, because they like talk or whatever. Or they'll talk about a show, The Office. They all seem to talk about that or whatever other show is on, and they'll kind of like talk about it as though like, okay, now this is cool. We have something to talk about, but they don't actually have any meaningful relationships at all. Especially when you're talking about, males. Like the bigger question here is: are they dating? Are they having sex? Do they have healthy relationships with women? Especially so, this kid, it looks like he was just living with his grandmother, so he doesn't have an actual like mother, around. So somehow, like this kid was supposed to just figure out how to like have conversations with women who are his age, and he's kind of like weird. He had like nail polish or something. I'm not saying that meant anything. I mean, you can still have positive relationships with women with nail polish, but it did feel like there's probably a lot of things, a lot of coaching, okay, that this kid needed in order to like, I don't know, like integrate, I suppose, with like the rest of society or like women in society, and he wasn't really doing that. And so because he wasn't doing that, he probably had a lot of questions like, what am I living for? Because I don't want to work at this fast food restaurant forever. And it probably felt like he was going to work at this fast food restaurant forever. And that felt shitty, right? So he's like, I don't want to do that. Makes sense. Like, I wouldn't want to do that either. But I also, like, the part that I don't understand here is why he would feel the need to, like, go to a school and, like, shoot. Like, why would you want to ruin society for other people who are just getting their lives started? That's the part that I don't understand, and I actually don't have any sort of I can't rationalize that, and like I don't have an answer for that. It does seem very strange. But I do know this, and I've seen this in other. Well, Serena talked about this a lot in her like white male rage video. Even though this kid was Latino, I think the logic still holds. It's like these kids coming in America, right, growing up, they're kind of like promised all this opportunity. Like it just feels like they're supposed to have all this opportunity, and there's kind of like these other people who are like not supposed to have the opportunity, right? It kind of feels like that. But the truth is, like, everyone has to work for their spot, and all the spots are really competitive, and there's only so many spots, right? And so this is like where when I'm talking about with women, like women kind of always have a spot because women can just marry someone and then the guy can basically pay for shit, right? Like that's always an option for like, I guess. Well, now you have to have a conversation around like straight women breeders. I guess we have to like really classify, but for breeders, they always have that option. Now for men, I don't know, because like if they're not able to provide, it's kind of like, yeah, they lose their value in terms of society, because like what woman's gonna, also if they're like, yeah, and like that kid was kind of like weird looking, so yeah, he's not very attractive, yeah, so he might have like really dull prospects with women, which is like that's a problem for him, and it's a problem for like everyone. Well, it's actually not a problem for everyone, I'm sorry, it's a problem for him though, and he has to like do something about it. Yeah.